except where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying? Cecil.
Daniel Alley had the 5 daily traps of all poor people on his channel. I am going to take these and adapt these over to 5 daily traps that fall into the martial arts. We spend a lot of time with comparison, we're blinded by circumstances, people have issues with conformity. There's way too much criticism going on in the martial arts. And one of the things a lot of martial artists like to rag on each other about is complacency. So let's start off with the first C of comparison. Can we stop comparing our styles to other styles? Can punchers stop judging grapplers? Can grapplers stop judging kickers? Can kickers stop judging punchers and grapplers? Can we all realize that every style has its strengths and weaknesses, and it is not bad because it is not our style? Stop getting mad when the Taekwondo people lose Muay Thai matches. Stop thinking that your fighting style is better because they can't come in and compete at your Taekwondo school. They're not going to be good at what you're good at because they're not you. The best thing you can do is learn from all the other styles so that what ought to be the measure of whether or not your martial arts is effective is how well you handle yourself in a self-defense situation. Do you use the appropriate amount of force without choking? And that only ultimately comes down to you and your makeup and how you apply yourself and what things you have to deal with. So stop comparing yourself with other people. Stop comparing our styles with other people. Stop thinking that because somebody didn't go to your school or train with your teachers, or they didn't take as long to get their black belt as you did, that makes them worse than you. You don't know what they're doing. Somebody can come into a school, and get a black belt in a year. Other people have been there 4 years. And the 4 year people may be mad at the 1 year person for getting a black belt that quick. But what they may not know is the person who you think got a black belt in a year from your school may have 8, 9, 10, 12 years of training at a bunch of other schools, and they finally just decided to come to your school to get a black belt in something. So technically, they're probably more qualified to be a black belt than you are. Now, in terms of circumstances, I'm going to address this by saying what happened with me. I was so blinded by the circumstances I had at the time that I had no idea that one day I was going to be the instructor. Yeah, I wanted to and I thought it was a cool thing, but I had no idea that it was going to be that way because I couldn't see my future because I was too busy looking at my present. So if you want to change the circumstances for tomorrow, you have to start changing the way that you think today. Now, conformity. Definitely, if you want to talk about poor people, you got some people that think that the love of money, not the love of money, they think that money is the root of all evil, when it's supposed to be it's the love of money is the root of all evil. And not that money is bad. Money is just a neutral tool. It's how you go about getting the things that you want out of life, how you go about using that money, that's what's evil. Conformity in and of itself, it's not cool to be poor just because everybody else is around you is poor. Now, you martial artists, do you think it's cool to not know how to fight because a lot of people that you know don't know how to fight? Do you think that karate is bad because they don't have sine waves? I know a lot of karate people, you guys, I hate to pick on you. Actually, I don't. You think that a lot of Taekwondo is bad just because of sine wave and because we do high kicks. See, I can say that because I've done karate too, so I know where that hate's coming from. That's conformity. And then there's some martial artists out there who think that conformity is bad. So you use Bruce Lee's idea of taking from whatever you have and making something that's your own. You use that as an excuse to be totally stiff-necked and anti-conformity, anti-authority. When the truth is, having some conformity is good when you're training a large group of people so that you can help organize folks by ability and curriculum. Belt ranks aren't bad in and of itself. If anything, belt ranks teach you how to break the larger goal of becoming a first-degree black belt into the smaller goals of white belt, yellow belt, orange belt, green belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown stripe, black belt in my system. You're taking a big goal and breaking it down into conceivable, smaller, attainable parts. That's where conformity is good. Don't you think that conformity is good when it comes to rule sets and competitions? So you can have a much more interesting competition? Maybe you do. Maybe you want to see boxing matches where people can just pull out a baseball bat and start beating up on the guy if they're losing, or their buddies can jump in. See, conformity is where combat sports shines. A lot of you think that conformity is just in what you think of as a classical or traditional martial arts where we wear uniforms. We wear pajama-looking uniforms in public, and we all do the same moves. That's just a tool. That's just a way of helping people learn. Conformity is not bad in and of itself. And criticism is something that we in the martial arts love to hurl around at each other. Don't listen to everybody's criticism. If somebody's giving you critique, you can do it. You take what's useful, you discard the rest. If they want to give you all this free feedback that they probably should be charging you for, and they want to give it to you for free, take it. But if they're just trolling and just hurling out negative comments to try to undermine your confidence because secretly they're scared to do what you're doing, then you ignore their criticism. And finally, with complacency. That should be pretty obvious. Don't be complacent. If there's one thing that's decaying over time, it's the human body. You're not going to be able to be as effective as you are now if you're not doing something to address that decay. You can either get into the best shape as you can and or take care of your health. Well, I should say and. Try to get in the best shape that you can be. And that means that I know some of us are going to have weight problems just like I do. Nobody's going to be perfect. We're all going to be striving towards it. You know, we got to take care of our health so that if there's any health conditions that can come and take us out, that can interfere with our practice, we can address it. We need to learn as much as we can and not be complacent so that we can compensate for the decline or issues that may come with life. Because like me, you could be driving along one day and then get into a car accident, and then you have to relearn how to do a lot of your punches and kicks. With me, I had to relearn how to do it when my body was like shivering subconsciously, shell-shocked and stiffened up from the impact of the car. I had an instructor, he actually is younger than me. When he got into a car accident, he said he had to relearn Tang Soo Do all over again because of all the damage that was done to the car and if you done to his body. And if you were to look at it, you would never know he was in a car accident. But see, those type of stories don't necessarily make news of the person that famous. So don't be complacent. That was Ray. I think that was Ray. Ray, if you're listening, I'm talking about you, sir. I think that was Ray that told me that. Not my son Raymond, my teacher Ray. And Art Mason has said in one of his video casts that he uses Kyusho Jitsu to compensate for the inevitable decline in reflexes that can happen as people age. But basically, as you age, you can still be an effective martial artist if you're not complacent, if you're learning, studying, practicing. Yip Man got to be Yip Man by not being complacent. Bruce Lee got to be Bruce Lee by not being complacent. A lot of people get to be who they are by not being complacent. Cynthia Rothrock is Cynthia Rothrock because she wasn't complacent. Michael Jai White is Michael Jai White because he's not complacent. I think you get my point. You can't just rest on your laurels. But you know what though? At the same time, I'm going to jump to number 4. If you want to be complacent, I'm not going to criticize you because we live in America and we are all free to be as driven or complacent as we want to be as long as we are willing to live with the consequences. So these are the 5 deadly traps of poor people that came from Daniel Alley. I'm adapting these to the 5 deadly traps of martial arts. because we're people and we can fall into these traps. And if we don't want to fall into these traps, we should, instead of using these as traps, we need to use these as tools. Comparison is a tool to see if somebody is doing something better than you adapt it to see if you can learn from it. Circumstances, instead of viewing it as a problem, think, because this is what I do, like at the rec center. We got to put you in a smaller room today. They had a party or meeting or whatever the heck. So you got to teach between those two columns in the hallway. So I go, how can I adapt my technique to these two columns in the hallway? Students, how are you going to adapt your forms? How are you going to adapt your throws to those two columns in the hallway? Conformity. Now, conformity can be good in terms of, do I have the same level of expertise as other people at my level? If not, where am I lagging and how can I improve? Criticism. I think your students, they tend to drop their guard when they're doing this. Raise your guard up. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Work on your combinations. That's fine. Not, Taekwondo sucks. Now, one thing I will say is, now I'm not going to go in, that's a whole other video. Let's just say, grapplers, I'm not mad at you. All right. Number 5, complacency. You can use complacency as a tool in terms of, I have achieved what I've achieved and I want to continue to do it. And if I want to maintain this level of proficiency, I have to be willing to pay the price. So I guess that's not really using complacency as a tool, but that's the best that I could come up with at the time. You want to use complacency as a tool, then become complacent with a standard of excellence. So thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this with people that like to talk about the martial arts. And peace. And thank you for your time.